Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited to be back with you with another edition of Let's Talk Genealogy with Desi L. Campbell. Tonight, we have a wonderful show lined up for you. We hope that you will sit back and enjoy this evening's episode. Tonight, our guest will be Tamara McKethan. Tamara McKethan's subject tonight will be To Tell or Not to Tell, Managing the Discovery of Family Secrets in Genealogical Research. Tamara McKethan's interest in family genealogy began as a child, listening to her maternal grandfather and aunt recount family history. Later, the birth of her daughter Janelle sparked a renewed interest in exploring and documenting the history of her family of origin and that of her husband's Herman. In 2015, Tamara and Herman began building a family tree on Ancestry and submitted to a DNA test. The McKethans have created a family tree with over 4,600 persons, numerous pictures, and other documents of 6 generations of family history. When she is not engaged in genealogy, Tamara is a university professor of nursing. She enjoys cooking, gardening, collecting African art. The McKethans live in South Carolina. Please join me as we welcome Miss Tamara McKethan.
Learned about managing family secrets. I had some interesting experiences, which I will share with you. And I'm going to present to you what I wish I had known before I started my genealogical journey. Secrets are very powerful in genealogical research. And one thing I learned was to expect to find unexpected information. I found that it was impossible to conduct genealogical research without coming across unexpected information. And when I first came across unexpected information, I didn't know what to do with it or how to handle it. I made some errors and some bumbles, and so I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience. In my family research, the most common family secrets that I found centered around race, who a parent was or was not, so-called outside children, secret marriages and divorces, adoption, and the manner in which a person died. We're all brought up with a narrative that comes to us from our family and our aunts and uncles, grandparents about who we are as a family and what has happened in the family. But it can be somewhat disconcerting when, as you begin to do your research, you find out that some of the things you have always believed about yourself and your family that's been passed on to you might not necessarily be accurate. With race, I found people who started out as listed as Negro or colored, and then a few years down the line, they became mulatto, and then all of a sudden in the next census, they became white, never more to be reunited with the family again. Parental identity was a common one in which we found that sometimes the parents that we thought were the parents were indeed not the parents. One case in which a grandfather was actually the father. He was also a father and a grandfather of the same person. Outside children. Most of the time I came across outside children who reached out to me on Ancestry due to DNA analysis. And when it was discovered that they were indeed children that had been brought about by relationships outside of marriage, it caused a fire explosion within the family. Secret marriages and divorces, bunch of them. People had been married before they married grandmother or grandfather. It was not known. Sometimes there was some children. Adoptions, I have received 4 outreaches from adoptions and have been successful in reuniting them with the family. Those can be tricky because most of the time these births are secret and people thought that the secret would stay a secret. However, with the modern DNA analysis that we have going on now and the amount of public records that are available, the secrets have been eclipsed by the technology. Cause of death was another one. Many times when looking at the cause of death, I'll say, well, what happened to so-and-so? Oh, they just died, only to pull up a death certificate and find out that it was a murder, a suicide, or there were circumstances surrounding the death that were supposed to be kept a secret, and the secret came out. Other common family secrets I discovered was prison records, people passing away in so-called mental hospitals or insane asylums, a history from family to family of psychiatric illnesses that seem to run down through a particular line, inherited health conditions in family lines that have been kept secret, military conduct, including court-martials, dishonorable discharges, etc., and the level of formal education. We had one family member that had always told everyone that he had graduated from an Ivy League school and that he was a doctor. Further investigation found out that he actually had a sixth grade education and was not a doctor and was possibly practicing illegally for years. Okay. So I'm saying, you name it, I found it in the family line. And for a while, my name became mud in the family line for digging up stuff. But I was not trying to dig up anything. This was a natural outgrowth of my research. Okay. So here are some signs and symptoms that you might find when you're working with your family history that are red flags that you possibly may be getting close to a family secret. Ridicule of family members conducting genealogical research. People making fun of you for doing research or dismissing your research as non-productive activity. Extremely strong objections toward DNA testing. These are the family members that say, I don't know, I don't need it, it's invading my privacy. Why do you need to dig that up? I told you who your mama, you know who your mama and your daddy is. What else do you need to know? Dismissal of DNA results as mistakes. Oh no, that's not right. They couldn't be that way. That's not what Aunt Sudie said. And I believe what Aunt Sudie told me everything I needed to know. And you need to just sit down. Reluctance of family members to discuss certain family relationships, circumstances, or family members. I ran into a brick wall sometimes when people just would shut down. They didn't want to discuss certain elements within the family. Big red flag. Some other ones were strong admonishments, and usually it went something like, stop trying to dig up mess, some other similar statement. Let bygones be bygones. Let sleepy dogs lie. Mm-hmm. You need to stay out of grown folk business. Mm-hmm. Conversations or relationships that don't seem to make any sense. Mm-hmm. In other words, you're doing your research, you're looking at your written records, you're talking with your family members, and you have contradictory stories about the same person or the same event. Mm-hmm. And when you try to collaborate the stories, people seem to come up with stories that just aren't making any sense. One story in my family went like this. An adoptee, well, actually, she wasn't an adoptee. She was probably a so-called outside child. She contacted me one night about 11 o'clock, said she was matching highly with me, and she didn't know who her people were. And I said, well, let's look at your common matches. So I said, well, it seems like you're going in this line. So I directed the young lady to the line that she was coming out of. And one conversation that didn't make sense was, I don't know who your father is. She didn't know who she was looking for a father, but he's dead. That didn't make sense. If you don't know who the father is, then how could you know that he was dead? Stuff like that. Replies of, I don't know, from people who ought to know. Brothers and sisters who claim they didn't know about certain elements of a sister's life. Well, I don't know that she did. I don't know, but you was living in the house with her. I still don't know. I never heard that story before. And on it went. But of course, I don't have time to go down through all the stories. I don't know if this has happened to you, but this is what happened to me all the time. However, I found that there was more to looking up family history and coming across these secrets that I needed to think about that I didn't really think about. And so I'm going to suggest that when you're running into signs and symptoms of family secrets, history, you ask yourself some questions. I never asked, but I wish I had. 1, do you really want to know? Some secrets are painful, hurtful. Do you really want to know what that is? Are you really willing to take a look at the truth that you might find, even if the truth is not particularly pleasant? Particularly if the truth involves you directly. 2, are you prepared for the consequences of what you might discover? All secrets once uncovered are bells that can never be unrung. And there are consequences to uncovering that. The consequences may be, as it was for me, damaged family relationships, a sense of guilt, shame, or just profound sadness at what you have found. People being hurt by possibly having a secret revealed. Maybe their spouse didn't know about the secret, the children don't know. Maybe it's a secret that is so serious that it could even create financial hardships if it were revealed, such as the loss of a job or a loss of social standing. This one I found to be most important to ask. If you learn something, what do you plan to do with the information? So you found it, so you know it. Now what? This should probably be something that is decided before you get deeper into uncovering a secret. What will you do with the information? Who will you tell? Will you tell? How will you store the secret, or would you dismiss it completely? And then this was one I had to spend a long time with myself. What is your motivation for revealing the secret? Are you motivated to reveal the secret to prove to the family that you really do know something? Are you hoping to get some closure to a question? Are you seeking revenge for revealing a secret? What is driving you to want to reveal this secret? That's an important question that will help you to determine what you should do about this secret. Okay. All right. This one, verify, verify, verify. When you decide to go further with your secret, Ask yourself, what evidence do you have to substantiate your findings? Never verbalize what you cannot verify. Are you working with DNA analysis and results? Have you verified that the person that the secret involves is indeed the person in the right generation with the right name? Are you talking about the same person? Whom have you, when you verify by records, what records are you using? Are you using census records? Are you using what's written in wills or probates? Have you double checked your findings to be sure that you're really looking at what you're looking at? I can't emphasize this enough, that it's important to substantiate your findings. Have you talked with people that would have some knowledge of the event or of the person? Okay. And I have here, consider the 100-year guideline. And I worked with some people and looked up some information to come up with the 100-year guideline. Ask yourself, what is the secret? Who did the secret involve? And in my case, I wrote all of this out. Is the secret at least 100 years in the past? Is there anybody at all that's still living that would be hurt physically, emotionally, or spiritually if this secret became public knowledge? And I included living spouses, living children, living grandchildren. I'll give you the example in my family. In doing genealogical research, I came across a prison record where an ancestor had been incarcerated for nearly 30 years for a sex crime, and in fact was a registered sex offender. This was information I did not know. No one had ever talked about it, but this gentleman was one of the relatives that no one ever brought his name up. When you bring his name up, they just gloss over it. So finally found out why that was. And when the information came to light, I was faced with the decision. Now, the crime and the incarceration had occurred more than 60 years before I found the information. The individual involved, the man, had been dead for some 50 years. However, I didn't have 100 years in the past, and I did have living people who I knew would not have wanted that information to become public. At the time I found it, there was a living spouse, a living child, and several living grandchildren. I spoke with a genealogy partner within my family who knew how to be confidential about what I had found, and she told me she had found the same thing when she had gone looking within that line. So we talked about it, and we decided that based on the fact that we had a number of living people who would find that information hurtful, we figured that they probably already knew, but it wasn't something they would want released. We did what we call a deep six. We put the information in a secure place, and we never approached anyone with it at all. And we did not place it on our public records that we had in Ancestry. And we were okay with that decision. So let's say that you finally decided that you're going to tell the secret. Consider speaking with a trusted genealogical colleague. This is someone who can go over your records with you and verify that your records are accurate and that your records are credible for what you're dealing with. You can also benefit from their expertise of how they have handled secrets or seen secrets handled in the past. If you decide to speak with someone, resist the temptation to go running and tell everybody in the family what you have found. Seek to speak privately with the family member who is closest to the secret. And I have here a picture of a little boy speaking to an older person, which is to symbolize that you humble yourself before the individual and appear and speak in a non-threatening way about their the secret that you have allowed. Stick with the facts. Don't add any drama. Don't add any judgment. And let them know what you have found, how you have found it, and present to them the evidence that you have, if you have copies of the evidence with them. Let them know that you have found this, that you do not intend at this time to release the information, but you would like to let them know that this information is out there, and anyone with the same skills or inquisitiveness as you have, is likely to come across this information. That's public information that's just out there. Take the time to allow the individual to process the information, because it may be information that they already knew but figured would never come to light, or they might not have known it, and so you're bringing something new to them. Allow them the time to process the information, because sometimes they want to talk about it to other people. But at this point, I learned to allow the individual to drive the information from this standpoint. And I would often ask myself, if this were me and someone found out this information about me or my family member, how would I want to be treated? How would I want this information to be released, if ever? Okay. If you make a decision to release the information to the family at large, I found it best to keep the announcement very short, brief, to the point, with only the facts. For example, we found an adoptee that had been a secret adoption. One of my aunts had a baby that she gave away, and this baby grew up and the baby died. And the daughter of this child was now trying to find her people, and she didn't know who they were. But she was matching very closely to me in DNA. When we substantiated, and everybody that was involved with the secret was dead, I ended up going to my 95-year-old father, who was the only one still living. And he said, I will tell you exactly who this woman is. And he went into a long story about how an aunt had gone into the hospital under a fictitious name, given birth, and then had her friend assume the same fictitious name to come and claim the baby. And it was long and involved. But anyway, we substantiated that she was our family member. What we did was go to the family line that she was a part of, speak to the oldest living member of that family line, and let her know that this person had located us and who she was. So that family member said, all right, I understand. I'm going to go to my brothers and sisters, and we'd like to discuss it first before anything is said. Then that family member came back and said, we don't want to make the announcement on Facebook, the Facebook family group. Would you please make the announcement? So then we made an announcement, and the announcement was very short with just the facts. We have located Diane Smith, that's a fake name, Diane Smith, through Ancestry, and confirmed by DNA analysis that she is the daughter of so-and-so and so-and-so, the granddaughter of so-and-so and so-and-so, and the great-granddaughter of so-and-so and so-and-so. Please welcome Diane to our family. And we left out any other details. If you choose not to announce the secret, make arrangements to secure the records securely, which is what we did in the case of the individual who was the sex offender. We made arrangements to secure the records. And then finally, as part of end-of-life planning, please consider naming a guardian for any records that you have, genealogical records that you have chosen not to release during your lifetime. And I have chosen one such person who is aware of my records, where they are, and I trust their judgment as to when they should be released. And I have decided, consulted with them and said, it would probably be best to release these records after the spouse, the children, and the grandchildren are deceased, or we reach that 100-year mark.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another edition of Let's Talk Genealogy with your host, Desi L. Campbell. I'm looking forward to another edition on next Thursday as we talk about Native Americans. Our guest will be Lamar DeLoach of the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society, president of Greensboro, North Carolina. You don't want to miss this. Until next time, make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.
Help us to humble ourselves and pray. Turn from wicked ways and seek your face. Fix our broken parts, mend our wounded hearts, and heal our land. Ooh, there's a mother who is mourning a gunned down son. And there are brothers who have gone down even more. Help us to finally walk as one, colored barriers undone, and heal our land. Oh, what needless pains we bear as our hearts are screaming out, it isn't fair. If we would only look to you for every care, 'cause you care. you care. There is sickness and disease, there's death and pain. Uncertainty has filled our hearts this day. Help us to never lose our faith. Give us rest in these trying days, and heal our land. Fix our broken parts, mend our wounded hearts, and heal our land.